ABC News is even picking up this one. I like that we use this graphic to show that the mainstream media is even reporting on this. So headline here for our audio only people is Trump opens the door for private equity and crypto as 401k retirement plan options. So I definitely want to hear from you guys on this. Add in whatever stats, interpretations you think are appropriate here. I'll give my TLDR summary. This is medium to long-term bullish, no doubt. I think anyone who's expecting this to get incorporated into your 401k plans offering like next week or next month, you're being a little too short-term bullish on this one. Just my own little bit of research here about kind of what timeline we might see for this. I think it's going to be some month window where the plans themselves work with the regulators to figure out how they do this properly, what offerings they actually give to their clients. There's going to be some due diligence involved. So it's probably like, I'll just throw a ballpark figure out here. Don't take this too literally, anybody, but like, I still think it's going to be like a year or two before you actually see 401k plans that say like, yeah, you've got, the Bitcoin ETFs right here. So that's my quick take, but what do you guys think?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Og.
I pulled this up. They put out a fact sheet, and the order really just directs the Secretary of Labor to re-examine the guidance on fiduciary duties regarding alternative assets. So these 401k plans, right? They have specific rules for fiduciary duties they must follow. What investments are available in these vehicles, because they are retirement plans and they want them to be responsible, right? So that's kind of the first step, is to re-examine what are the existing rules, how can they be modified. And yeah, I agree, it's going to take quite a long time for anything to change there. I know in my experience, so I was brought on to Swan to really head the IRA team initially. So I spent a lot of time dealing with retirement plans in general. So by the way, if you have retirement plans, Bitcoin is available. 401ks are just a unique employer-sponsored plan that really keeps you boxed in while you're employed. But as soon as you terminate employment, you can move to what's called an IRA, an individual retirement account, which has a lot more flexibility, where you can move to providers like Swan to capture Bitcoin with those retirement funds using the same tax-advantaged type accounts, traditional and Roth IRAs. So it's something that people have been doing for years. There's plenty of options out there, but this is going to enable, while people are trapped in that 401k box, which is upwards of $9 trillion worth of value in these account types. They're extremely popular. I definitely know more people that have a 401k than an IRA. IRAs are really limited too. You can only put in like $7,000 each year into these accounts, where 401ks are about triple, if not more. They're like 23,000 or so. You can stick into those. So I definitely think it's a material impact when that change happens. And I believe in people having the freedom to choose what their investments are, even if there is some crypto options there. I would hope people are getting education, watching Swan Signal, and learning not to go into crypto assets and buy Bitcoin. Yeah, I think it's overall a great thing, and more freedom, more flexibility for your investments.
Hurley, can you quickly throw that ABC thing? I just want to point something out that I think this to me is like the signal. In that second line at the very bottom, it's high risk private equity and cryptocurrency investment. So even though ABC is covering this, I think their feelings about what the broader cryptocurrency market is are still coming out in the language that they're using. And John, I kind of want to reiterate everything that you said. This to me is a sell the news type of event. Like, I had a lot of clients texting me the moment Trump passed this. We saw the price rip up. We got all the way up to like touching 117K, but then we're just kind of like hovering at that point. Look, we saw the ETFs get launched last January, and there are still like traditional financial institutions that don't allow their clients to purchase the ETFs. So I think we're still very far away from this actually being implemented broadly in every single 401k. Is going to be a provider by provider, like case by case scenario, more than it's just going to be like, oh, I have a 401k, let me buy Bitcoin with it. And I think that, to your point, John, like this is a very long term, like it will be bullish. In the short, and I would even say in the medium term, this isn't going to move the needle. It does provide, I think, guidance and a little bit more credibility to Bitcoin. And I think more and more people are going to start to view Bitcoin in particular as, okay, this is a long-term asset. I know it's only been around for 16 years. If we really want to like break down the nuts and bolts of it, what Google's been publicly traded for like 25 years. It's only like these types of companies that grow exponentially, or these types of assets that grow exponentially early on. We're all still in the very early stages of a lot of these things. So time will tell to see how this gets played out. I'm more interested in seeing, quite frankly, what institutions over the course of the next 6 to 12 months start to come out and say, okay, you can buy with us. You can buy Bitcoin directly with us, more so than whether or not DC is saying, okay, yes, we'll allow Bitcoin to be in your 401k.
That's a good thing to point out, because I personally haven't had one, but I have clients that have 401ks that they're able to get Bitcoin ETF exposure in currently.
Right.
So it already exists, but this should ideally open up the window wider, because there's many. Every 401k I've ever had, it's like, here's 20 investment funds, the JP Morgan, the Vanguard, the Fidelity, pick one, right? And you have no idea what they are or what they do.
Yeah. I would even say too, like on the other side of it, like for example, Merrill Lynch is the best example. I work with a few different brokers out of Merrill. I have clients who like split. They have an investment account at Merrill, but then they also open up a Swan account with us here because they want the direct Bitcoin exposure, because Merrill cannot buy the ETF on behalf of their clients. They can't answer questions about Bitcoin, even if a client asks them about it. And they surely can't bring Bitcoin up directly to clients. But all the advisors have caught on and they're like, our clients are asking about this. Like, we sound uneducated if we don't at least try to help them or guide them in some direction, some way, shape, or form. But at the same time too, like the rules from Merrill at large still dictate that. So it's going to be like a case by case scenario for sure.
Totally. Yeah. It's just further legitimizing Bitcoin. I mean, I feel like that's what the last couple of years have been about, ever since the ETFs, right? It's like, this is just like, I think, jumping off what Q said about things being around for a certain amount of time. It's still only been 16 years. And I think, what is it, the Lindy effect, that says that after 20 years, it's people's main idea of something is that it's going to be around forever. It's like the internet was solidified after everyone thought it was a passing fad, maybe when it was like 10, 12, 15 years old. And I think Bitcoin's kind of in that area where it's just passing that stage of being considered something that's going to go away. And it's something that's going to be here forever. So,
dude, everyone told you to short Amazon stock for the first like 15 years of its existence. Yeah. And like, if you took the other side of that trade, you could have possibly retired by now. So,
exactly.
Yeah. I'm glad, yeah, good comments by you guys. Alec, I'm glad you brought up that, the crypto side of this, which I did want to talk about just for a second. Crypto, I think, is taking this news more positively than Bitcoin is. And I will just share as an anecdote that some of my family members, I'm talking like younger cousins and stuff, they know I work in the world of Bitcoin, so they'll bring it up to me. But they did, unfortunately, last weekend, once again, ask me what I think of XRP. And
every time,
it is hard to to be fair, you look at the chart, I think XRP's gone from like $1 to $3, something like that. I don't really watch what it's done. But some people just look at that, and if that's their number go up, right, and they don't know anything about economics, about how these protocols and networks actually work, they're just going to look at it and be like, yeah, this thing was up, 300%. Well, why would I not buy it? And yeah, you just look at like the past few days or 30-day gains for some of these other crypto tokens, and they are up a lot. Hurley, did you have some line that was like, Bitcoiners we think that we're going to get to this point where we have to stop explaining Bitcoin versus crypto, but it's probably going to be like a lifelong task for us?
Yeah, it's just also tiresome. It just keeps coming back. Just keeps going back. Yeah, it's and I think it comes down to like what you said. It's and this is like it's not even just like, it's people, very smart people, obviously, that just have not pondered it or looked at it from a monetary history or money perspective, right? Like I just watched, there was, I think, Natalie Brunell on what was it, Fox Business or something, and at the end, both of the anchors were just like, I just still don't get it. I don't get it. But the number goes up, so it must be. It's like, you know what I mean? She's like, you've been right this whole time, and you got a nice smile. That's what she says to Natalie. But it's like,
oh my
I
God,
still don't get it, right? And it's like, it's because they're not looking at it from the right lens, right? And I think at the very end, the guy even says, but there's no earnings and there's no, and Natalie's like, that's the whole point, right? So I think, and I think people that do, you say, like, buy XRP, or it's like they see that number go up and they're like, you know, or they see the hype. There's a lot of propaganda around XRP and a lot of marketing that they pump out all over the place. They pay certain, you know, crypto places to put out news about their coin going to be pumping and all this. It's going to replace, you know, it's going to replace all these payment rails and all that. So they see that and they're like, oh, XRP is great too. I'm just going to buy that, instead of looking at it like, what is money? How is Bitcoin better money than gold, right? They don't look at it like that.
No, I mean, John, I responded to you sent something about XRP in Slack, and I was like, I literally just had this conversation with my dad about how someone tried to convince my dad that Ripple is going to go to 5,000 a coin. And then my dad was like, so the market cap, you think the market cap of this is going to be worth more than the total market cap of just the stock market? Explain your rationale or reasoning there. And then the guy like could not rationalize what my dad was saying. So to your point, I think my conversation, I have plenty of clients who dabble in crypto, and whenever they say anything, I just pull up market caps. I'm like, okay, so what your price point is means the market cap is here. How do you get to this market cap? I don't care about price. Explain this market cap justification. And most people can't.
Your dad sounds based, Q.
A little bit. Don't give him too much credit though. It'll go straight to his head like John.
It happens to the best of us. Okay. That's on the more frustrating side, but on the positive side, just one final comment from me on this topic is, and we already have some of this going on with people owning Bitcoin in their IRAs. As Alec pointed out, we do this at Swan. We've been offering this for a long time. We have new people coming in to do it every single day, and it's been legal, totally legal, like not a gray area, not a question mark, totally legal. And politicians touching people's retirement assets is like a political third rail. So the positive here for me is that we already have this like entrenchment of Bitcoin in people's retirement assets. This message is going to all the people that are worried about some draconian government action against Bitcoin in the future. It just becomes really hard for you to be a politician that's like, hey, we're going to slap an onerous tax on Bitcoin, or we're going to, worse, we're going to seize your Bitcoin, anything like that. When people own it in their retirement accounts, and again, now IRAs has been legal for a long time. 401ks, it's really just not been accessible. If the government can open 401ks and then, let's say 4 years from now, a healthy chunk of people have an allocation of Bitcoin in their 401k, that just makes it incrementally harder for the government to do anything negative towards Bitcoin.
Can I take the other side of that for a second?
Sure.
So I agree with everything you're saying in the context and a silo of Bitcoin only, but where we stand right now, it's not a Bitcoin only policy. It is a broader crypto policy, and we'll see what cryptocurrencies qualify for this. But if anything happens to one of these other cryptocurrencies, doesn't that almost give the government more incentive to stick their hands in it, get involved, and then turn around and like force the issue on Bitcoin in their own way, despite the fact that it wasn't Bitcoin that did something? But again, we've talked about, we haven't separated Bitcoin from crypto as much as Bitcoiners understand this. The broader public doesn't. The policy is a pro crypto, not a pro Bitcoin policy. So then, like, I'm just going to say something stupid, but like, let's say Trump coin gets approved to be part of the 401k, and then some crazy thing happens with Trump coin. Trump's not in office to stop anything. It's like a democratically run, or Dems controlling DC. That opens the door in my eyes to DC taking a very aggressive anti-Bitcoin, anti-crypto stance.
I think
Go
that
ahead,
is an important thing. And if anyone watched the strategy earnings call, they brought on a bunch of influential people in the Bitcoin space to talk. And Saylor brought up one of the biggest things he wants to see happen is more regulatory clarity and the framework across the entire space, which I would agree kind of would help set Bitcoin in one space and everything else in their proper slots to help prevent something like that from happening, right? If there is a classification for each type of token, whatever they're claiming to be, have them segmented out so it's not going to impact Bitcoin. We know what Bitcoin is. That's easily laid out. If these other things have problems, just remove that section and leave the Bitcoin, right? So that's another topic I've seen heavily debated, but I agree there does need to be more walls put up between the different types of things in the crypto space.
I think that's right. And I get the concerns, Q. I would say, anything could happen with future new administrations, and we have to be vigilant and watchful for all that stuff. But I do think there are some positives. Like, I don't think Bitcoin is at any risk of being deemed a security. I think a lot of these other crypto tokens still are. I think we're supposed to see more from the Clarity Act on that. And then I also take it as a positive that, the crypto czar, David Sachs, he has publicly said, this is why Bitcoin is different, like in detail. And he gave a phenomenal answer. So that doesn't mean he's going to be the person calling those shots forever, but I do think there's been a good amount of headway made. So I'm hopeful that Bitcoin will get treated different than all this other stuff going forward. I do believe that there will be crypto offerings in people's 401ks, and some people are unfortunately going to get wrecked with that. But I don't think it will negatively affect Bitcoin too much.
Fair. We'll take a water bet on that.
Yeah. Years and years from now, we can revisit it. So BTC in DC, if you guys are not aware, this is a conference that's going to be happening September 30th and October 1st. Or 30 days in September, right? September 30th and October 1st. So if I will expect to be there myself, as will a lot of people from Swan. So if you're looking into Bitcoin policy and adoption in the US, this is definitely the event for you. There's going to be Bitcoiners, lawmakers, thought leaders. I love that we have thought leaders in there. Goldman Sachs loves the term thought leaders. And it will be in the heart of Washington in DC, where all these people are. So you can literally meet the people who are shaping Bitcoin's future in the place where laws are made, Capitol Hill. BTCindc.com. Swan will get you 10% off your ticket as a promo code. And check that out if you want to go. Since John is doing ad reads here, we're going to continue with this. Also, I'm going to shout out Mara, the world's largest publicly traded Bitcoin miner. They support this show, and they help make Bitcoin the world's most decentralized and most secure monetary network.